even if the recipient is the same person, it depends on the role of particular role that you are addressing, whether the recipient is just a teacher or course instructor or the invigilator or examiner. So based on the role, yes. And anything else we did?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else we did? Did we just only talk about recipient details, or we also talked about something else?
Ma'am, sound is not clear, ma'am.
Yes?
Your sound not coming clear.
Okay. My sound is not coming clear. Okay, I hope for others it's coming clear. I want to know if you need to add something more. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay. I guess there are some network issues with some students because I can see them coming and going. Okay, Rahul, can you hear my voice? Can you unmute and speak and help me remember what we did in the last class? Rahul, if you can hear my voice, can you unmute and speak? Mic issues. There is no apostrophe there in issues. You are just using it in plural. So it's just use. Okay. Okay, Shantan, can you unmute and speak and help me remember what we did in the last class? Shantan, you just joined, so can you please help me remember what we did in the last class? Manthan, can you unmute and speak to help all of us remember what we did in the last class? I don't know. Many students say that their mic is not working, but then how are you using the mobile then if your audio is not working? You must be using the same device for conversation, isn't it? Or maybe to watch videos or something. So if your audio is not working, how are you managing? Anyway, Brajnandan, can you hear my voice?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I can hear.
Yes. Can you please help me remember what we did in the last class?
Ma'am, the same as you already stated that recipient's name once and the structure of a formal letter.
Okay. And anything else other than recipient's name? Recipient's name is number 1. Did we also discuss number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5?
Ma'am, I did not attend last class. I'm sorry, but
wow. So, but then you should remember. I mean, you should be in touch with your friends. What we did in the last class.
Yes, ma'am. I inquired with Desha and he said me.
He just told you number 1. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you should change your friend circle. You know, you should update it. Anyway.
Sure, I will do now.
Yeah. I've got smart people to raise, you know. Anyway, so yeah. So now, Millie, you can type it in the chat box. You can type your Millie in the chat box. So I'll quickly scroll up and check what students have learned from the class and what they think that is most important or maybe most interesting in the last class. So Manthan says that I'm using laptop, ma'am, but then even in laptop, otherwise, how are you listening to the lectures? How are you attending the lectures if you're all these things are not working? So then Farhanul has actually written what we discussed. We started with revision and then Millie, and then we learned also about inquiry and inquiry. And the question was asked by Soham in the last class, and structure of formal letter and discussion on each component of formal letter. And as far as I remember, we discussed about the first five. And then I guess it's recipient's name. And then this is okay, Uddesha, we are not using the chat box for informal discussion. Okay, we are only using it for academic discussion. The chat box is an academic platform, so it's for Padmanav and Pritam. Okay, I mean, I'm sure there are other platforms for this discussion. I mean, others are attending it. I mean, don't distract them. Okay, so then Rajoshi says that keeping same date format throughout. Yes, yes, and also use that particular date which is easy to understand, easy to read, which creates less confusion. Shaunak is also for format of date, and then Saurabh says component of formal letter, but then component of formal letter, Saurabh, is what we did in the entire class. You can talk about one particular component or maybe one particular learning. And then Rakesh's difference between inquiry and inquiry, good. This says one person plays many roles in life. Yes, Udesha, this is the same mistake that you made in the last time. You wrote it in the form of a sentence. You have to write it in the form of a word or phrase. I remember I corrected you. Even in the last class, you wrote it in the form of a sentence. So it should be, I mean, you can keep the same idea. It's just that we have to work to put it in the form of a noun or a phrase. For this particular sentence, you can write that different roles played by one single person. So that is how you put it in the form of a phrase and not in the form of a sentence. Farhanul, please continue this in some other platform. And for Soham as well, okay, this is actually in response to Soham's question. The difference between inquiry and inquiry. The first one is informal and British. The second one is little formal and American. But then if you are following British English, you can use them synonymously, interchangeably. But then if you are writing it in American English, American pronunciation, American spelling, I1 is little formal. Yes. Yes, Pritam says not using comma after 2 years. This is very, very important because I have come across many letters where people put comma after 2. You don't do that. That's wrong. Ankush's situation-based variation in official designation. Wow. And see the way Anku has put it. I mean, it's so precisely put, and he has also paid attention to the small hyphen in between. Situation-based variation in official designation. I mean, I can't imagine to put it in a better way. I guess this is the best way to put it. I mean, the 4 activity we had. So that's the most precise way to put that activity, that is the situation-based variation in official designation of recipient. Okay, Shayantan says maintaining consistency, easy to write. Okay, so that is again, I guess, for date, but then Shayantan, don't put full stop. This is just a word or phrase. Anjali says being apt about the way recipient identifies the sender. Very, very important, Anjali, very, very important. Because many a time we write letters to people who don't know me in person. Okay, but then say for example you write to the HR manager, they have not met you, so you have to always keep in mind that how unknown you are for the reader of the letter. So it's always good to identify yourself in the first line. Okay, and also try to help him identify you very specifically. And then Bikiran says ways of writing recipients detail in different situations. Yes, Bikiran, I mean, we spent a good amount of time doing that. Sunil says components of formal letter, but then Sunil, we did it throughout the class. Okay, I want you to pick up one particular learning. Okay, components of formal letter was the topic for discussion for 2 hours, and Okay, yes, I can understand science, and I can understand because I saw you coming and going on and off. I saw you, I understood that. Tathagoto says components of the structure of formal letter. Again, Tathagoto, it's for Millie. Yeah, I mean, if I asked you what was the topic for last class's discussion, then your answer is correct. Components for the structure of formal letter. But then if I'm asking Millie, it should be a little more specific, little more focused. Imagine that, you zoom in, you should get that effect. But when I've said different recipient details of a same person, of the same person, recipient's format. Kapil Dev, there is no apostrophe after T, so it should be that recipient's format, or maybe the format to write the details of the recipient. Deep Jyoti Rai's ways of writing recipient's detail in different situation for the same person. Vijit Singh, structure of formal letter. Okay, then again, Vijit, for Millie, this is little broad. Okay, so thank you. I'm typing today's plan. Yes, so this is what my plan or activity layout for today's class. Revision we did. Millie, we already finished, and then in the previous class we focused on the first 5 component of the format of formal letters. Today we will start from number 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then we will move to etiquettes of writing email, because these days we write more number of emails than we write formal letter. The body is the same, it's just that because the platform is different, the components get a little changed. Because say for example, you don't have to write the date, because the email will automatically take your date. You don't have to write the sender's details because it will automatically take. You don't have to write the recipient's details in that particular format, because here it's all the mail ID will do the job. So, and for email, it's not enclosure, it's attachment. So there are little differences, but then the body of the letter, the salutation, the body, the subject, the closure, all these are remain the same. It's just that there are subtle differences, but then the language is almost the same. And then some common phrases of formal letter and email. So there are some common phrases which can be listed that we can use in different situations of formal letter and email. So yes, so I'll start with number 3 for today's plan. Yes, that is where we started in the last class. Recipient's detail, date should be easy to read and consistent. Sender's detail, subject, salutation. Just a minute. So please keep in mind that the salutation can be respected sir, Mr. Sir, and all these things. Be very careful as you write the name of that person, the way they spell it, and don't always blindly write respected sir. Okay, save your respect for only those people whom you are expected to show respect. Don't just write a respected sir for all the situations. If you are writing a complaint to Amazon, you don't write a respected sir. You just write dear customer care executive. Something like that. So, or maybe let me give you another example. If you are writing a complaint letter for for the bad food quality in a restaurant, you don't try to respect, sir. Say for example, the university is sending you an invitation letter to attend convocation. They won't write you respected this. They will write you dear student. So please keep in mind, try to understand, try to differentiate between where we show respect and where you don't need to show respect. And if you are using doctor, professor, please always verify that. Please always check. Generally, we write formal letter to professionals, okay, and they generally have a web page or something, so some place where you can verify it, okay. Don't write professor if that person is not professor. Say for example, I am not a professor, I'm just an assistant professor. It will take many years to reach the level of professor. So because I'm not a professor, this is technically wrong, and I am not an associate professor because that is not my designation. So please verify, and please don't assume that just because someone is teacher, he or she is a doctorate. Okay, check if they are a doctorate or not, whether they have achieved the title or not. So do all these things. That is for salutation. And body we already discussed, and we have already seen how you should construct the body for different types of formal letter. So here I just wanted to show you something. Okay, did I show you one actual letter in the previous class?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. No, I did. Okay, I got it. See, the thing is that many a time you, not always, sometimes, at times, you send the formal letter in an envelope. Okay, so I'll just show you how it looks like, or maybe how it reads, because I assume that most of you have never received any formal letter, or maybe you might have received formal letter. So for those who are kind of clueless how actually it happens, so it's a kind of little concrete example. So this is the formal letter that was sent from the controller office of Assam University to me with a request to set a question paper for one particular subject. Okay, so you know that there is something like question setter. Someone actually prepares the question paper. So they appointed me as the question setter, and this is the kind of appointment letter, you can say, appointment letter, you can say. So, and they, because this is confidential, exam related, everything is generally confidential, they have put it within envelope. Okay, because this is confidential, the identity of the paper setter or your examiner, all these things are confidential. So that's the reason they have put it within envelope. Okay, because I also get many other letters without envelope, because this is exam related, because this is generally whatever you get from exam comes in an envelope. So, or maybe other confidential thing. Okay, so as I told, if you have any experience of writing address on an envelope, I mean like formal address or even for informal address, if you have any experience, you know that on the top right corner we write the recipient's detail, top right corner, okay, and bottom left corner we write the sender's details. Okay, this is applicable for any address that you write on envelope, be it formal, be it informal. Top right corner, it's the recipients. Bottom left corner, this is writers. So here it is. You can see that. So they have kind of printed envelope to send letters. So that's the reason it's written Assam University this. And then within this, I understand that this is a mirror image. You don't have to read it. I'm reading it for you. So it's to, and then Dr. Arijita Pradhan, Assistant Professor, Department of Applied Science and Humanities. So this is the recipient's details. Okay, and then here it's it's written from Assam University. Okay, so as I told you, top right is the recipient and bottom left is the sender. You must have, because so on this envelope you have two addresses, and which address is more important? The recipient's details are more important, because that is how the postman or the delivery person is going to deliver the letter to. Okay, so the recipient's address is more important. That's the reason to highlight that they have put it in a box. Okay, so if you are writing it with your hand, on the envelope, what you can do is that you can either put it within box, or you can write it in a little bigger font and the sender's address in a little smaller font when you actually write it with your hand. So here you can understand, to highlight the recipient's detail, they have put it within box. So that is outside the envelope. So even if inside the letter you mention the name of the reader and the writer, the recipient and the sender, you also mention it on the envelope as well. Okay. Imagine the letter is misplaced. So I can't open the letter. Okay. So that by looking at the letter, I can understand that whom the letter belongs to, and so that I can hand it over to them. And then this is the formal letter. Formal letters many a time are printed. You can write it with your hand because you are a student, but then once you start your journey as professional, it's expected that you will print your formal letter, and it's generally printed on A4 size paper and with standard official font like Times New Roman and all these things. Don't experiment with font in official things. Okay, there are many fancy fonts. They look very tempting to use, but then don't do that. And now is the main letter. So before I discuss about the main letter, when I asked you about what we did in the last class, you people told me that what I did in the last class, but then at the same time, I also told you about the flexibility of the sequence. Like you can interchange between number 4 and 5. Did I say this in the last class?
Yes,
I did, yes. So number 4 and number 5, like subject and salutation, you can interchange. So there are certain flexibilities in terms of the sequence with which you put it. Same is for 1, 2, and 3. You can also interchange them. You can start with your sender's detail. Because many a time the sender is very important, or maybe the sender is writing the letter on a letterhead. You know what is a letterhead? Letterhead is a writing pad kind of thing, and on the top of it the address is written. You must have received the character certificate or school living certificate from your school, okay, and that is generally printed on a letterhead. On the top of it the school's address is written, and then they write to whom it may concern, or maybe they might also mention your name. So because they send many letters every day, or maybe to different person, so they have printed one thing so that they don't have to write the sender's detail time and again. So is with the exam department of Assam University, because they send many such letters. Okay, imagine so many exams are happening, so many paper setters, so many evaluators, so many letters they send every day. So instead of writing the sender's detail on each letter, what they have done is that they have printed a letterhead. So it's a kind of writing pad. On top of it, the sender's details are there. So the letter that I'm going to show you, because it is again from someone who writes letter in many numbers, the sender's details are at the top. Okay, and then there is date, and then there is a recipient's detail. Okay, so even if you can't read each word, it's fine. Okay, so on the top, as I told you, it's printed on a letterhead. So this is how letterheads look. Okay, on the top of it there is the sender's detail. So there will be letterhead for VC's office, there will be letterhead for the registrar's office, because they send many letters every day. Okay, so on the top of it, it's written, it's here the name of the controller of examinations and the detail and the address of the controller office. Okay, and then there is date, and then here is the recipient's detail. What they have written? They have written to Dr. Arijita Pradhan, Assistant Professor, English, Department of Applied Science and Humanities, and then subject. Okay, as I told you, 4 and 5 can be interchanged, but then I prefer to put the subject first, because when people get a letter, they first search for the subject. Okay, they search for the purpose, because that is the most important thing. That's the reason you are writing the letter. That's the reason I am getting the letter. So subject is most important for both reader and the writer. So I just look at the subject. So first thing is that the subject is written in bold here. Yeah, this is subject. So what's written here? Appointment of paper setter for UG B.Tech mid-sem examination, September 2019. So do you understand that all the necessary details are there, but then there is no extra details. So what is this? This is the appointment of paper setter. So they are appointing me as paper setter for UG. And then there are many UG degrees, BTech, and then more specification. More details like mid-semester examination, which particular examination, and when was it conducted? September 2019, odd sem. So once I look at it, I'll specifically locate it, which particular exam they are talking about. Okay, they are talking about the exam which happened in 2019, and it happened as odd semester, during odd semester, and that for mid-sem examination, and that one for UG BTech course. And then it's written, Sir, Madam, it is to inform you that Vice Chancellor Assam University is pleased to appoint you as paper setter for UG BTech semester examination September 2019 for the following papers. And so that is what it is written in the first part. And then, yeah, here you can see that here these paper details are there. Okay, so they have written the name of the subject, code of the subject, semester, course code, full marks, and all these things. Okay, so now in the first para, what they did, they told that they are appointing, in the subject, they told me that they are appointing me as a paper setter. In the first para, what they did, they gave me the details of the paper setter, which examination, which semester, mid-sem or end-sem, BTech or MTech, UG or, sorry, this is the same thing. And they told me that that's the kind of background. As I told you, for most of the formal letters, the first para is about background. So this is the background of setting the question paper. These are the information I need to know before I set the question paper. And then in the second para, you are requested to kindly set the question paper and submit the same to the concerned HOD within 7 days from the date of receipt of the letter. So do you understand how specific it is? Because they are explaining the purpose. So background is over, they have given me the paper code, paper details, all the exam details, and now they are talking about the purpose. What I should do? I should first set the question paper and then submit it to the HOD within 7 days from the receipt of the letter. So do you understand? There is absolutely no vagueness. They have not sent out within 7 days. Within 7 days from the receipt of to HOD. And I not only have to set the question paper, I have to submit it as well. So don't assume that setting question paper and submitting question paper is the same thing. So I have to set it and then I have to submit it. And then the closure is your kind cooperation is highly solicited, yours faithfully, controller for examination, and then stamp and all these things. So that's how it is. So this is how the entire letter looks like. Okay, so I thought that I can also show you. So now you can check. If you come across any formal letter that your parents might have got, or maybe your relatives or your friends might have got, you can always check that whether all these details are there, or maybe all these etiquettes of writing formal letter are maintained. So yes, so as I told you, in the body there should be at least 2 paragraphs. The first paragraph in most of the cases gives the background. The second paragraph specifically tells what action is expected from me. I have to prepare the question paper and I have to submit it. And how and where should I submit it? All the details are given. And then closure. Okay, closure is something. It's when we write warm regards. Okay, waiting to meet you during interview. Okay, looking forward for the function, looking forward for the Teachers' Day celebration. So that is what you write. You generally write it with a positive note, and then I'll show you the many options that you can choose from while writing your closure. I'll show you one slide. I'll show you one image. I already have shared the image with you. Your class reps have already shared the image with you, that how you can close your formal letter. So for this formal letter, it's written, your cooperation is highly solicited, and then the signature and the name of the sender. So as I told you, in most of the cases, in official purpose, we print the letter. Okay, and then there is one dotted line. We put our signature, and then we put the full name. That means the signature is of this person, and then enclosure. Now, for many formal letter, we send supporting documents to our claim. or as reference. So these are called enclosure. The S of enclosures is within bracket because there can be one single enclosure or there can be multiple enclosure. Say for example, for this letter, that letter that the exam department has sent me, what kind of enclosure they can give me? They can give me one sample question paper. Okay, it's possible that I'm setting the question paper for the first time, so they can give me one sample question paper or maybe previous year's question paper as a sample. So that can be an enclosure. If you are writing an email to the electricity board, subdivision officer of electricity board for Erana's electric bill, what you will add? You will add 2-3 previous months electric bill so that they understand that, okay, this is your standard bill amount, and then the present month's electric bill, which is Eranas. That something is Eranas, you need some reference to understand that this is Eranas. Okay, so you say that in the month of January, February, March, and April, the bill amount was 300, and then suddenly for the month of May, the bill amount was 3,000. So you are sending the first 3 months bill amount as reference. So in that case, you have a more enclosure. If you are complaining for some bad service in restaurant, what do you add? You add your order number or maybe your bill. So something that brings authenticity to your letter, or something that supports your claim, that helps them understand the problem in a little better way. So that is what enclosures are. So that is how we write a formal letter in this. But then, you have certain flexibility till 5, but then 6, 7, 8, 9 is fixed. Okay, even then you can start with salutation. So there are flexibility among 1, 2, and 3, and then there is flexibility between 4 and 5. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me. I'll show you a few formal letter once I finish email and all these things, and then I'll show you a few formal letters.
Ma'am, in the last class we discussed till point 4 subject. We didn't discuss salutation.
Oh, I did not discuss salutation in the last class?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. You should have told me. I assumed that I discussed till salutation. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so this is how far we discussed in the last class. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I pasted the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Discarded. Sorry. I don't know why it happens sometimes with. Yes. So this is what we discussed in the last class. Subject in line with the purpose of the letter. So because this letter appoints me as a paper setter, so that is how the subject is written: appointment of paper setter. And then the necessary details are there. There is absolutely no extra details. Only the necessary details are there. And then the action verb. Okay, appointment of paper setter. Appointment. Here it's not verb, but then it gives you the idea of some action happening. It should not be very long, but then you should provide the necessary reference. That's the reason I read it out. Okay, the appointment of paper setter of UG, BTech, mid-sem, odd-sem, September 2019. All the necessary reference is there. Okay, you just don't say end-sem exam. Which end-sem exam? When did it happen? Because I will use this letter throughout my life. Okay, even after 30 years, I might show this letter. So that's the reason this thing should be very particular and provide necessary details for easy segregation. So this is what we learned in the last class, and then I'll come to salutation. Yes. So this is what I mean by salutation. Okay. So you write respected sir or ma'am, you write dear sir or ma'am, you write dear Dr. Pradhan, you write dear Mr. Pradhan, or you write dear Professor Pradhan. So this part is called salutation, when you are addressing the recipient. And choose very judiciously between respected and dear, keeping in mind the purpose, that whether that person expects respect or maybe they are equal. So keeping that in mind, dear If, as I told you, please always verify whether he or she is just a Mr. or doctor or professor. Okay, so this is about, Mr. is about if that recipient is male, and then if the recipient is female, just write this. Okay, don't write Mrs. Okay, even if that woman is married, don't write Mrs. because anyway that marital status probably is not important for the purpose of the letter. Okay, the marital status is not important, just as it's not important for Mr. You don't need to know the marital status to write a letter. So just make it MS for anyone. Okay, married, unmarried, widowed, anyone, this is MS. Please keep this in mind. And professor, don't assume that all the teachers are professor or all the teachers are doctor. And then please verify. I mean, I can give you one example. Please also verify it's Mr. or Miss. Don't assume it from the name, because there are certain names which are used both for male and female. Say, for example, Suman. Suman is used for both male and female. Parijat is again used for both male and female. It happened with me once. I got a mail from Harjit Kaur. So from the name Harjit, I assumed that it's a male, and in my reply I wrote sir and all these things. So I just assumed that it's a male, and I wrote it that way. And then I got another reply. I got reply from my mail, and everything was written. And then in the bottom, it was written that it's she, not he. So and then I realized that is Harjit for them. Kaur stands for female, woman. Harjit, though it might sound a male name to my ears for my language, for my culture, but then I should have verified. Okay, that is the mistake I made. I assumed that this is a male name. I should have verified it. So please do that. Even for Miss or Mr., verify that. Don't assume that that the gender or the designation or in the title, professor, doctor, don't assume anything. And yeah. So confirm the title and spelling of the name and the surname. So that is about salutation. I'm sorry I missed that part. I assumed that a salutation was done. Okay, if you have any question, you can ask me.
Ma'am, sometimes can you use greetings, something like that? Sometimes can you use words like greetings, Amazon, something like that, or something?
Greetings?
In salutation. Suppose greetings Amazon, greetings Anisa, something like that.
You can do it for certain informal situation, but not in strict business letters. Okay. The thing is that maybe there are situations where you can feel informal with that person. You are kind of friendly with that person. You know that person, but then please keep in mind the relation is professional. Okay, I might be very friendly, I might be very informal with my colleagues, but then when I'm writing a mail, I always use respect, sir.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, you might feel certain amount of confidence about certain people, even though they are your boss, even though they are your manager. But then while writing email, while writing formal letter, be formal. Okay, we are informal during informal time, but then we are formal during office transaction, office conversation. Okay, keep it formal. That is always very good.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, what to write if we don't know whom we are sending the letter? Like, if we are not sending it to any particular person, if we are sending it to, to any, means we don't know whom we are sending. If it is she, is Miss, or...
Yeah. So you can, say for example, you can either write dear sir or ma'am. Okay. So dear sir / ma'am, something like that.
Okay, ma'am.
Or just check if I have something in my mailbox. Just a minute. No, I don't have it. So even I have got many letters like dear sir or ma'am. Even this letter, even this paper setter, because they send it to all the teachers. It's not possible for them to print two different letters. So they have addressed it as respected sir or ma'am. So you can do it that way. Many a time you don't actually write to one particular person. As I told you, customer care executive. Okay, there is not one single person. So you can, in that case, you can write dear sir or ma'am, but then it's always good to write yes. No, forget about it. Just write dear sir or ma'am. Okay, then there is some question. Ma'am, what do we write for people with third gender? For example, if I'm addressing to someone who is a transgender. Okay, so in that case, maybe you can use the surname if you know the surname. Okay, they must have a surname if they have a surname. You can use their name. Okay, or if you know the name of the, if you know the person on a personal level, maybe you can write the gender that they identify with, not their biological gender. Okay, I might be born as a woman, but then I think I am man. So you write me, you address me as Mr. because that is how I identify myself with. That is for the case of transgender. It's how that person presents himself or how that person wants to be addressed. I want to be addressed as man. So you write it, that's for transgenders. Rahul, did I answer? Is that what you wanted to know? Either you write the complete name. Okay, say for example, imagine I am the transgender person. You write, dear Arijita Pradhan. Okay, you write the full name. Okay. Or say for example, if I have a degree, you can write dear Dr. Pradhan. Doctor is neutral. Okay, it can be Mr. or Mrs. anything. You can write dear Professor Pradhan. So that is again neutral. But then imagine you don't know the name. So in that case, you have to find out how that person identifies himself or herself with, how he wants to be, he or she wants to be addressed. Okay, yes. Shine conscience, I read somewhere we would refer them in plural. Like Shayantan, can you tell me? Can you write it in the chat box? Can you write it in the chat box? I read somewhere we should refer them in plural. I'm not getting it. How? Where? Can you put it in the chat box, Shayantan? I hope you are typing. That is when you are writing a paragraph or report, not in the place of salutation. We are talking about salutation. Okay, that is applicable to anyone. Say for example, instead of constantly writing he or she for students, we write they. Okay, that is applicable to anyone. So that is when you write, say for example, you are writing an article on transgender, or you are writing a report on transgender, something like that. So then, but then when it comes to salutation, you can't use they as a salutation. Okay, we are specifically talking about salutation of formal letter. They can be used for anyone, not only for transgender. I refer to students as they, because I have both male and female students. So it's not possible for me to constantly say male and female students, male and female students. I just write they for convenience. Okay. Thank you, Rahul, for pointing it out. I forgot. I just thought in terms of binary. I forgot about the third gender. So thank you. Thank you. Yes. So now the fourth point, etiquettes of email writing, but then it's 222. So before I start a new topic. There is a break for 5 minutes. By 5 minutes, I mean 5 minutes. It's 2:22. We'll be back by 2:27, and we'll start etiquettes of email. Okay, because I thought that I'll start email and then there will be break after 5 minutes. So better we take the break now at 2:22 and we'll be back at 2:27. Okay, thank you.